With episode 10, Raising Kanan and season 1 have come to a close. There were some mixed reviews for this episode, which are woven into this video later on, but as always, we'll look at a few of the important main talking points from the season finale, how this played out for a few characters, and what this means for them moving forward in season 2. We'll look at how Raquel transformed into a devil in this episode, frightening Kanan and informing him that he'll never leave the game and that whatever belongs to him will be hers. We'll learn how she employed Kanan to assassinate Detective Malcolm Howard. The relationship with the older Kanan is reduced to narration, with the older Kanan reminding us that the only thing you can trust is that you can't trust anyone, including your own mother. We're going to go over the character description for records again since it's such a critical piece of the jigsaw in terms of telling us how she perceives Kanan. We'll also look at the Jukebox and Lulu facts mentioned in this episode. So those are the themes we'll be discussing today. But, if you're new to the channel and haven't already, hit that subscribe button if you want to watch everything imaginable 3, and Power Universe connected. One of the references I made earlier in the week was when I explained why Ghost might not be dead. Let's discuss Raquel's transformation into a ruthless thug in this episode. Raquel was the devil, the red-dressed devil. This is our reference record in this video. She had Kanan do the dirty labor while other individuals played their roles. Her hands are mostly clean, although she was a bit of a demon with a couple of things in this episode. One with her aversion to leaving the game, which we'll get to in a minute, but killing a cop was always going to be a horrible idea. Never kill police enforcement, as our Ghost used to advise since it just throws much too much heat on you and your business. The way Raquel spoke to everyone, especially Lou and Kanan, made her look like a devil, and the red outfit from the previous episode further added to how much of a demon she is. Raquel is someone who pours first, and it truly symbolized how much of a devil she is. She's willing to go to any length to win, no matter what the cost or collateral damage, even if it means sacrificing her own son Kanan. Or even murdering a cop because she was willing to go to whatever length to win and be free of the threats she was facing. Not to mention how scary the detective is to Raquel, informing her that her reputation is on the line as well. In episode 8, we learn that leaders would go to any length to safeguard their reputation, as stated in the 48 Laws of Power. So, who was it that killed Detective Howard to keep the fact about him being Kanan's father a secret, and who was it to keep our street reputation intact? I'd say the Rack showed in this episode that she was looking out for herself in a mix of ways. The fact that Raquel used the Rune Sun to try to kill a club astounded Lou the most. He realized at that time that Kanan's destiny could only go one way and that her mother had already picked Kanan's route because she sees us as an extension of herself. Now we'll come full circle with the Racket's character. We'll look at this part of our character description now that we've accomplished season 1, where it says the single beneficiary of her adoration is a son Kanan. He is everything to her, and she cares about him as much as he cares about her. Many times, one wonders if she loves him for who he is, or if she simply loves him as an extension of herself. And I believe we now have the answer. Raquel clearly sees Kanan as an extension of herself, and while I believe she loves her son, I believe she does, but these two most recent episodes showed us that she loves the game more. She is far more interested in power and winning. Remember how Kanan was ordered to decrease his hallucinations. He lived and died on the streets, and Raquel was undoubtedly where he received a train. The same might be said of Rocco, who also lives and dies on the streets. And this is why I believe she will die or wind up in jail in the end, because, as I previously stated, there is a placeholder for her to be alive at the time that I am aware of power. Now the issue is, don't just stop our Kanan and look at the look that he gave her when he found out that he was keen and was asked to kill Detective Howard. He was a very similar look that he gave when he was tested D with something that he clearly didn't want to do, and it finally all came out in tonight's episode. He's been struggling with killing D Wiz, and he's wanted out of the game forever. So Lou wanted out of the game or Kanan shooting when he was able to deal with it. Detective Howard will force his character into a life he will never be able to leave in order to teach Kanan that being a kid and picking yourself up after making errors isn't how they do things. They were doing something that will haunt them for the rest of their lives. And who knows, maybe this was a major turning moment for you, and you wanted it to be the same for him. This was his chance to tell Raquel how he truly felt, and he delivered exactly what he needed to say. In this episode, just like Jukebox did, he told Raquel that if you kill a cop and trace it back to Kanan, they're going to put everyone in a room and try to get them to turn on each other, and neutral Raquel, she had her only son, she's a fucking cop, and Raquel's answer to this was, she's winning, but at what cost? Lou was thinking, if Raquel is prepared to put Kanan in danger, picture what she's capable of doing to someone like Lou or Marvin, for example, and this is where Tiny Rocker that he was to do with the form, he wanted out of the game. He couldn't take it any longer, and he should have stopped when she told him to write down D with for loose. He stayed in it because he thought they were in it together, and Rocco was the focus. She'd never let Lulu go away without a fight. In fact, she stated that they share everything, including his record label, which I'm sure he'll be forced to clean her money through. You wanted to leave the game and go into music, which is something we'll see more of in season 2, but he will never be able to live this life as long as Raquel is there. She won't let him, and it goes back to my point from a few days ago. I can see Lou O'Kane realizing that Rachel needs to go, even if it means going to prison, because they'll never be able to do things the way they want with Rockcastle in charge. At some point, Kanan, we'd like to progress further in the game and begin to climb the ranks of the Thomas organization. He's ambitious and wants to do things his way while adhering to the 48 laws of power. He warns us that unless you embrace Alexander's merciless method, his son will never be able to step out of his father's shadow, and this is where you must let go of your history. You must establish your own kingdom for your father in your shadows, rather than allowing him to do the same to you. Despite the fact that this is in connection to a father, Kanan will desire to construct his own kingdom and place Raquel in his shadow at some point in the near future, and the same might very well apply to Kanan and Raquel's relationship. And this is when Brief could communicate his life, but with Lulu, who clearly wants to focus more on music, but they can't do the front control of them, and has been playing her positions, and as the older Kane's narration told us, when everything goes wrong and nobody checking for you when you're on your own. This is a shitstorm. The only thing you can be sure of is that you can't trust anyone, at any time. Not even your own father's Kane, telling us that he contrasted his mother's knowledge of contrast and modern contrast. Nobody can trust her since she has demonstrated that she is the devil in red. Let's talk about some of the problems with Rocco's plan, one of which is that Detective Howard is still alive, and the name that's about to come out of his mouth in the second season won't be Kanan because 1, it wouldn't make sense with Kino's story and power, and 2, we only have a new Kanan being set up when Ghost and Tasha set him up. Even throughout his chats with Jude, where they spoke about the past, we never heard about him being imprisoned and sent to prison as a kid, and while Kino's blood may be fun all over unusual jackets back then, DNA awards and easy to identify back then. Is it true that Kane was summoned for shooting Detective Howard? I don't think so, but would you truly stay in prison for a version of Proctor in Season 2, assisting him in serving his sentence? I'd like to have a property sort of character help Unique in Season 2, similar to how our Proctor helped Ghost and Tommy. I'd like to see Unique beat this, come out of prison and be a major problem for Rocco next season. So the Proctor persona would make the upcoming season of Raising Kanan a lot more fascinating. So those are some of the major takeaways from episode 10 of Raising Kanan, and the finale was not only the best episode we've ever seen but also the best season finale. I wouldn't go so far as to say it was a horrible episode, but that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Do you think Raquel went too far with Kanan, and do you agree with Lou that he's Kanan on the records? What do you think will happen at the end of the story? Please leave your views and comments in the comments area below, and since there will be no trailer to review tomorrow, I will be breaking down what to expect for each character in Season 2.